Good morning again, my friends, and welcome to Under the Oak. Here in the second of our series, I want to continue to reveal the nature of the ancient Druids that are the model for all of our modern efforts to revive their wisdom. I'd like to tell you 3 stories that teach us about the ancient Druids. First, let me tell you of the Irish Druid named Mog Ruith, whose name means servant of the wheel. We know his story as part of the Irish tale, The Siege of Knock Long. Mog Ruith, when we find him, is an old, blind Druid, living alone in the hills of southern Ireland, the kingdom of Munster. Trained in his youth by Druidesses, he is a renowned Druid who has hidden himself away. When King Cormac, the High King of Tara, seeks undue tribute from the King of Munster, Mog Ruith is called upon to use his magic in the king's aid. Demanding a high price from the King of Munster, Mog Ruith employs a variety of war magic, rains of fire, floods, poison, spears, killing stones, to turn aside the wrath of the more powerful King of Tara. In Mog Ruith, we see the figure of the Druid as sorcerer and wonder worker, and while Druids are often described working religious ritual in white robes, here we see the sorcerer Druid cloaked in a speckled bull's hide and wearing a headdress of feathers of many colors. Our second tale is also set in Ireland, a small part of the great cycle of stories called the Cattle Raid of Cooley. In those stories, the Queen of Connacht is Maeve, a warrior queen bold as any man, whose great army rolled northward toward Ulster. The queen led her army bravely from the front, and as they rolled along the road, they came upon a single woman traveling the other way. This was Fedelm. Dressed in a traveler's cloak over her white robes, she was newly trained and released from the schools of Druids, making her way home to her people. "Greetings, Druidess," said Queen Maeve. "What omen will you give me for the coming battle, Seeress?" Maeve asked. Willing enough to help, Fedelm crouched and covered her face with her palms, staring between her fingers, chanting the runes of her divination, and at last she stood and said to Queen Maeve, "I see crimson, I see blood." But Maeve asked again, "Tell me what you see, Fedelm," and the woman answered, "I see crimson, I see blood." A third time asked and answered, and Maeve stood in thought and concluded at last that Fedelm's vision showed her the ruin of her enemies. And so Maeve set out upon her road again, not knowing that it was her ruin that Fedelm had predicted when Maeve would meet the boy hero, Cuchulainn. In Fedelm's tale, we see the Druid as seer and diviner, and are reminded that women were as often Druids as men. Our third tale involves the familiar figure of Merlin the Enchanter, the chief wizard of the Isle of Britain in the age of the legendary King Arthur. When Merlin was a young lad, the son of a king, a prince of the Scots, he was called Lailoken, and one day he was sent to a great battle upon a plain, and the slaying and the screams and the terrible sights he beheld turned his heart and mind upside down. Prince Lailoken fled the field of battle into the forest, and there he went to dwell. Shedding the clothing of men, he dwelled among beasts, gazed at stars, listened to streams, slept in trees. Of this mystery we know little, but at last, when time was ripe, there emerged from those northern forests into the plains of Britain a wizard riding on a stag, heading to his destiny. Here we see the Druid as forest mystic. Madness and seership and wisdom often went together in these tales, and so Merlin's fate begins. Thank you, my friends. Blessings on you. We will meet again.